Good morning to everyone. Good morning. I am so happy to be on Facebook Live and YouTube Live again to talk about financial literacy. Another beautiful day to talk about financial matters and getting your money in order. And going to make sure I try to project my voice pretty well. There's a little noise in the background. So I'll do my best, but definitely happy to be here on live and got a lot going on this morning. And so, even though I have a lot going on, I still wanted to be consistent and stop and take time on Saturday morning to talk about financial literacy. And that is the game plan for every Saturday morning around 8:30, 9 a.m. Go live on Facebook and on YouTube to discuss financial literacy with my community of people, with my loved ones, with anyone else that wants to tune in. And so we are on a mission. We are on a mission in 2024 to up our game and take it up a level concerning financial literacy. So, good morning to everyone that is tuned in. And for your convenience, whether it's Facebook Live under my name, Simon Still, feel free to join in on Facebook Live, or if you're a part of my YouTube community, where my YouTube channel is Coach Steele's Finance Training. Feel free to jump in on either one, whether it's on YouTube or on Facebook. And just remember the YouTube channel is Coach Steele's Finance Training. You can always jump in on there. And of course, if you tune in on YouTube, you're going to find other videos that I have on there talking about financial literacy. So you can always jump from Facebook to YouTube to get other information when I'm not live. So uh, this morning, I'm actually in Colorado. I am actually currently in Denver, Colorado right now. And of course, if you watch one of the other lives from earlier this week, we were talking about my son going from high school to college to now being, well, he's been a W 2 employee for a while, but he got employed in Lakewood, Colorado. And now that he's employed here, of course, he needed to get here and had to do a few other things, apartment hunting slash house hunting slash whatever else hunting, and making sure we get his affairs in order. And then I am headed back to Georgia, which I love. Now, of course, clearly I'm not in Georgia right now because I have on a hoodie. Not that people who live in Georgia don't wear hoodies, but in Colorado right now, it's a little chilly this morning. So I was going to come outside and just have on a t-shirt, and I was trying to chill out, relax, enjoy the vibes out here while I'm sitting out in this terrace at the hotel. Uh, but the chill, the cool air this morning got to me. Although it felt pretty good in Colorado yesterday, wasn't too bad. Shorts and t-shirt type day, but in the morning it is a little chilly. So also, as we talk about financial literacy today, today's subject is about budgeting slash planning in advance. We always want to budget and plan in advance for anything that we're trying to do. And so I like talking about financial literacy because it makes a difference on how you live. It makes a difference in the quality of your lifestyle, how you can maintain yourself, how you can maintain others and your family. And so when we do what we're supposed to do financially, it is a positive thing. And another good thing about budgeting and planning in advance, there's a mental part of uh, finances that when things financially aren't right, mentally it can bring you to a negative place sometimes. So we have to be careful. But at least if you have a plan in place, you can stay positive about your mentality and where you're going. So just because finances or your budget and your money isn't right doesn't mean you have to stay in a negative place mentally. We budget and we plan in advance so that we can stay positive about where we're going, and when we get there, we're confident as well. We have strong faith along the way. So, as we talk about budgeting in advance, I want to stress that importance to everyone because budgeting works. We can easily go month to month, day to day, and not budget and not plan. But it's not the best idea, it's not the best option. Why would we want to try and wing it and just go off a whim every single month. It's not safe. It's not as advised. That's like living life on the wild side financially. You want to be strategic and you want to be calculated when it comes to your finances. You have to develop the right mindset. When it comes to budgeting, you want to develop the mindset of a sniper. And when you're a sniper, your mindset is one shot, one kill. You want to be strategic, you want to be calculated, you don't want extra unnecessary movements. You want to be able to take that one shot and knock out your target. And every month, financially, you should have a mindset to be strategic. You should have a mindset to be calculated, and you should want your financial strategies and plans and the moves you make to be so calculated that you hit your goals. You're constantly knocking out each and every goal of what you're trying to accomplish month to month. Because when it comes to budgeting, you must understand it's almost like a domino effect. It's a sequence of events. When one month goes right, it makes the next month better. And when that month is better, it helps you get closer to your goals. And when you budget properly, at times you can find yourself ahead of schedule. In other words, you're doing so great, you're on track that you're ahead of schedule. But as we talk about budgeting and financial literacy and planning in advance, we also want to discuss strategies today as well. Things you can do to help you budget to actually meet your goals. And it's just like working out. If you're going to work out, if you're going to exercise, and let's take the bench press for example. If your goal is to eventually, I don't know, bench press 225, but you can only bench press 150, there are some things you have to put in place. There are some workouts that you have to start planning in advance and stringing along together to eventually get to your goals. That way you can max that 250 or 225, whatever your goals are. So when you're budgeting, your goals don't come overnight financially. Same thing with working out. You don't hit your weight loss goals or your weightlifting goals overnight. You have to put in the work. You have to put in the effort, and you have to plan in advance. And so many of us, we have financial situations, and those financial situations didn't turn upside down overnight. So we can't always fix them overnight. So, as we talk about budgeting, I want everyone to shift their mindset to really get in gear with some of the things that I talked about the past few weeks, which is look at your budget for the past 2 months. Go look at financial statements, go look at bank statements, go look at your bank statements for the past 2 months, whether you print them out or whether you look them up online, and write down your habits. Write down how much you spent at the grocery store. Write down how much you spent on gas. Write down how much money you had coming in. Write all of those numbers down, what you had coming in and how much went out. And that way you can see what you had left over at the end of the month. If you're just breaking even, or if there's $100 left over at the end of the month. Whatever is left over at the end of the month, we want to use that to help us plan. We want to use that cash flow to help us not only plan in advance, but we can use that cash flow to help us get rid of debt. We can use that cash flow to strategically get rid of debt effectively if we have something left over at the end of the month. And when we plan on how to get rid of debt properly, we open up more cash flow, because as we get rid of that debt and it's paid off, if you have a debt that's costing you $200 a month, when it's paid off, you have now just reintroduced a new $200 worth of cash flow into your pockets, in addition to whatever else extra you had left over. So planning properly, whether it's to get rid of debt, allows you to reintroduce new cash flow into your budget, which allows us to do other things. So it is very, very important to plan. And so when we talk about planning, as you listen, whether you're listening now, or whether you listen in later, because I'll look over the comments, what are some of the things you want to plan for? So you can type it in the comments on YouTube or on Facebook, but write down some of the things that you are planning for. What are some of the things you want to accomplish in the next 6 months? What are some of the things you want to accomplish in the next 2 years? So, good morning. And so, uh, as I talk about financial literacy, everyone, and we're talking about planning for the next 6 months, planning for the next 2 years, start thinking about some of those things. For some people, it may be you want to buy a car. For some people, it may be you're trying to buy a house. For every person, there's going to be a different goal. And for those different things that you're trying to accomplish, it's going to require different planning. It's going to require different strategies. Planning to buy a car and planning to buy a house are two different things. And it's not just the financial part. Sometimes it's about getting paperwork in order. Sometimes it's about some people may have the money, but they may not have their credit score together. So when we're talking about budgeting and planning in advance for some of the things we want, for some people, it might be making adjustments to their credit score, getting their credit score in a better place as well. So, why is it important to budget? Think about it. There are big businesses, big corporations, even big businesses, Fortune 500 companies, they budget, they plan in advance. So if big corporations that make billions and billions and millions of dollars annually, if they budget and plan and they have tons of money coming in, tons of money going out, then who are we not to budget? Who are we not to plan? The hoodie says consistency is key. And when it comes to budgeting, that is important. You have to be consistent when you're budgeting, when you're managing your money, when you're managing your finances. What are some of the things that you're planning for? What are some of the things that you are budgeting for? For some people, it may be for a vehicle. If you're budgeting and planning to buy a car, you have to look at your financial situation. You have to look at how you want to fund that goal, whether it's to buy a car that doesn't have any car payments or whether you're going to have to make car payments. And so it's important to look at what you have coming in every single month. So you do not want to take, half your income and put it towards a car payment. You still have a mortgage, you still have food, you still have other things that you have to buy and pay for. And so you want to be strategic when you're budgeting and planning of what percent of your monthly income you have going towards those goals because you'll end up buying more than what you need. Same thing with the house. So it's important to budget. Big companies budget, they plan annually of their growth. And that's something else that you want to plan with your budget, not just how to pay for everything, but also how to grow your wealth, how to grow your income successfully. That's important. Not don't plan just to be able to make ends meet. Plan to be able to grow. Plan so that you can have comfort in your lifestyle as well. And also plan for liabilities. Plan for things that may happen, the unexpected. When you plan and you put things in your budget, you want to plan for potential car repairs, things that need to happen, like oil changes. You want to plan for gifts that you may buy for people. Uh, we know every year, if you participate in Christmas, every year people are going to buy Christmas gifts or they're going to travel during the holidays, especially November, December time frame. So it may be simple things like that that you're planning for or that you're budgeting for. You can plan and budget to travel during the holidays. You can plan and budget for those gifts you may buy. It may be something as simple as putting $50 away every month from January to November. And so by doing that, I think that's about $550. If you include December, that's $600. So now you've set $600 to the side somewhere successfully, and now you have the money, whether it's for those gifts or whether it's for being able to travel comfortably. There's nothing unexpected coming out of your budget that you did not plan for. And so there are so many creative things that you can do to plan and to budget to be strategic. Oh, some construction going on behind me. I heard some noise. So, Next thing I want to talk about, and we've already talked about budgeting as far as getting rid of debt. I think that's one of the most important things that people can do is budget and plan on getting to use it to get rid of debt. In America, the usage of credit cards is such at an all-time high that there's so many people with so much different credit card debt, and they do not have a legitimate plan on how to eliminate that debt that they have accrued and built up with these credit cards. Like there's a lot of pros and cons to credit cards. And so I'm going to spend a brief moment to discuss those credit cards. When we look at credit cards and we see that it's almost like a credit card pandemic, epidemic in America because the usage is so high that people are using debt to make ends meet from one month to the next. Some people cannot survive or are struggling to survive to get to the next month, and the credit card is part of the budget to get there. Just think about that. Think about it. There are many people that cannot go from one month to the next financially successfully unless they use the credit card in the financial equation to make it from one month to the next. Now, when we talk about, you know, the subject of credit cards, some people would say you should use them. Some people say you shouldn't use them. Some people say once you pay them off, cut them up so that you don't have access to them anymore. You have to know who you are, and you have to know your habits. You have to know your strengths and your weaknesses. You have to know your discipline level. And so my advice on credit cards are if you are not disciplined, then and consistent with managing and using a card, then I think you should stay away from them. At the end of the day, the banks have made them so that they can make money, so that they can have access to our future money when it comes to credit cards. So keep that in mind. The credit card, even though many people use them, the credit card is not necessarily your friend, but there are creative ways to use a credit card that can benefit you and actually help you in your budget. But my mindset when it comes to credit cards is I believe majority and most people should stay away from using them because most people don't have the discipline that it takes. Now, yes, banks will take credit cards to make money. They do distribute credit cards to average people to make money off of them, but there are ways that you can benefit from those credit cards as well. And so if you can successfully pay your credit card off before the charge date every single month and pay it off in full, then of course you're not going to get charged any interest for those balances. It's like paying same as cash, paying it off in full. That way, once again, you don't get charged any interest. And that's one of the successful ways of using a credit card is whatever you charge on that card, whatever you pay for your card before that charge date, just pay it off in full. And if you can pay that card off in full, you won't get charged any interest on your balance. You're not getting charged any interest on your balance. It's same as cash. And so in that case, you win. Now, of course, there's also reward benefits as well. So there can be hotel point rewards, there can be cash back rewards, there can be mileage rewards. There's different rewards that hotels, I'm sorry, that credit cards have. And so you can take advantage of those. But keep in mind, most credit card companies add those rewards and those benefits there to entice you to use the card, to swipe the card. Now, once again, credit cards can destroy your budget, or you could technically use a credit card to get your budget back on track. Yes, there are some credit card companies that have 0% interest rate. But once again, that is to entice you to use a card and to the point to where you get so comfortable that those 15 months, those 2 years, whatever it is, that time frame is up and you still have a balance so that they can start collecting interest from you so that they can make money off of that balance. So once again, if you have the discipline and you can pay that card off successfully before the charge date, before you get charged any interest every month, you're paying that card off in full, And if you wanted to be very sure of that, if you bought groceries with your credit card on Monday and you see that it's been charged Monday when you get home or Tuesday the next day, you can go pay that card off the same day or the next day and make sure that you're consistently paying that card off and keeping it at a zero balance. That's kind of an extreme, but once again, we don't want the credit card companies to take advantage of us. We want to take advantage of them if we have to use them. Some people have businesses, and for their business to have success, and they're charging a lot of things. They're paying for a lot of products and different things monthly. They're using a card. They're getting tons of money back on cashback rewards, and then the business income and profit is paying off those credit cards. So I understand there's different scenarios for everyone, but know yourself. Know what your strengths and weaknesses are uh, when it comes to credit card debt, and understanding how credit cards can destroy your budget or how you can use them to help your budget and make money. There's so many different options there. I did have a guest who popped in here a few minutes ago. She sat down and she was listening to some of the advice. It was interesting looking at her facial expressions. But I am currently right here at a hotel in Colorado. I'm outside out on this terrace. And of course, behind me, um, there's some mountains and some other things going on. Beautiful scenery, and probably can't see the mountains because of the way the light is shining right here. Now the sun has come up, but beautiful out here in Colorado. A little different from Georgia right now. It is a little nippy out here. It's a little chilly, so I did have to go put a hoodie on. I was out here in shorts and t-shirts, but this cold chill told me I don't think you want to do that. So I did go grab my trusty hoodie, and it's pretty cool. I like representing and wearing products of people that I know that have their own businesses, that are entrepreneurs, and it allows the money to circulate in our community at an elite level when we do things, when we believe the word is patronize. And so even the hoodie I have on that says consistency is key. Uh, there's a lady, Facebook friend of mine. Her name is Takara Nicole, and she has a ministry and a movement and a business, and it may be called Life at the Well. And one of her free, slogans is "Be Well." So if you ever get a chance and look her up online, she does have a website so that you can actually go on there and order uh, different shirts, hoodies, and it's good quality too. I love it. I've washed it many times, and it has maintained itself. Hasn't lost any value or quality. So anyway, as we continue to talk about financial literacy and budgeting on this morning in the great state of Colorado, where my son has moved to now, and we're talking about planning in advance. One of the things that we had to do was plan for this move in advance. So, just to give a practical example of planning in advance and budgeting, think about the fact that we had to plan on leaving Georgia, and well, more so him, to get to Colorado. And so when you get a job opportunity, and this job he probably applied for, I think December last year, maybe early January this year. So when you apply for a job 7, 8 months ago, and now we fast forward, and he gets the offer a few weeks ago or a month ago, whenever it was, there's a transition that has to take place. And this is going to be a good example when we talk about budgeting and planning in advance and the benefits of it. Because when you have an opportunity and you have to move quickly, think about it. Here's an offer, you wanted it months ago, now it presents itself, but it's in another state. You don't have housing there, you don't have shelter, you don't have furniture. None of those things are in place, but now you have to figure out, do I take this offer? And think about this. Can I financially afford to make this move and take an offer that could put me in a better position? Oh, this is good right here. I'm already liking this where I'm going, and I really wasn't planning on going here, but I like it. And so I'm just going to stay right here for a little while. Can you take an opportunity that could potentially propel you to another level that will be a great stepping stone? Can you take it if it requires you to relocate, readjust, and recreate in a different environment? Have you budget to the point? Have you planned to the point that when opportunity presents itself, that you can make a move? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Self-examination, self-check right now. Are you in position to where you could just up and move if you had to and you would be okay? Now, you talk about financial goals and financial plans. Can you set your budget up to the point and your finances up to the point that if an opportunity presented itself that required you to relocate, could you do it successfully and it didn't hurt you or hurt anyone else? Or is it going to require for someone else to be uncomfortable for you to be able to make your successful move? And so when this opportunity presented itself for my son, he was able to take the offer because of not what he was doing in the moment, but what he had been doing the past 2 years that allowed him to make this opportunity successful. What do I mean by that? We have to take budgeting serious today, not just for today, but what opportunity or door that may open up for you tomorrow. What opportunity or door that may open up for you a year from now, 6 months from now. You don't know what opportunity may be out there that you may be able to grab in a second, in a blink of an eye, because you did the work right now. You have to be willing to do the work and the things now so that you can have success later. That is vital. That is key. One thing that I'm going to do and that I always have done is I am willing to make whatever necessary sacrifice, whatever necessary grind, whatever it takes. I will do it now so that later on I can have success, so that later on I can grab an opportunity. See, you must understand that we are in a season and a time of opportunities. We're in a season and a time where growth can take place, but you have to lay the foundation. You have to do some of what I call the grind and the dirty work now. Make the necessary sacrifices, do the research that you need to do so that when the opportunity presents itself, you're not afraid to make a move. You know, when you see people double dutching and they deciding when they're going to jump in the rope, you got to have done the work in advance. So when it's time to jump in there and start double dutching, you can be right in motion. You won't miss a beat. You won't be tripping over your feet. You won't be struggling financially. You have to position yourself to be able to make the move. And when you position your finances and you put them in a place, you won't be afraid to make the move because you have financially planned for every obstacle that can present itself when you do make the move. One thing I wasn't worried about was my son's finances. One thing I was confident was no matter what financial obstacles would be in play when he gets to Colorado, financially his budget can handle it because he didn't start planning yesterday. He had been working on budgeting in high school, in college, and when he started working his job. Parents, loved ones, it is important that you have your child start practicing budgeting in high school. If you can do middle school, great. But at least by high school, they need to start budgeting and planning. Everything doesn't have to be handed to them. Show them how to do work. Show them how to be creative and use their mind to make finances come to them. Mm, think about it. Show young people how to be creative, use their mind to bring finances to them. I don't care if it's showing them how to invest, if you're showing them how to make products, and then they make these products and they go out and sell them. There are so many qualities that they're going to learn by being creative and learning how to be independent. Parents, when we're talking about budgeting, your children need to learn how to budget at a young age so that it is not foreign to them when they get older. So that it's not another language when they get older. There are so many things that are going to be thrown at them. A young person keeping up with their birth certificate and social security card is enough for them already. So they need to be comfortable and confident with budgeting, learning, knowing how to pay bills, learning and knowing how to maintain things. One of the conversations that my son had, one of the last times we went live a few days ago, was about how he took a lawnmower in high school and he was cutting yard grass in the area. And then eventually got a car so he could branch out. He would throw the lawnmower in the back of the Trailblazer and he would go cut lawns in the community and make money for himself so that he could buy shoes and different things he wanted in high school. Why? Because I wasn't going to buy them. And one thing that, I noticed, and parents, this is interesting. When my son started being responsible, he became an entrepreneur, became self-employed, had his own lawn business in high school. When he made his money and it was time to go buy things, what he would purchase with my money versus what he would purchase with his money was two different things. If we went out to eat or somewhere to eat and he had his money and he used his money, what he would order would be completely different from what he would order if we use my money. And so it really helps a child just cherish and value the work and the effort that it took for them to make the money they earn. And so that'll also cause them to respect and value what it took for you to bring in the money that you made and earned. And so there's a level of respect that comes with finances and money and the effort that it takes to make it when you have a child start budgeting and planning in advance when they're young. It's never too late to start. The earlier you start, the better. The better habits they have when it comes to finances. And you may find out that your child, that young person may like to spend. They may like to have nice things, but at least one, they learn how much it costs and they learn what they need to do to have those nice things. So if a child learns or a young person learns that they like nice things, then they'll start looking and saying, well, I wanted to do this in a career path, but that can't maintain me financially. I can't afford my lifestyle if I have this type of job or if I have this type of career. So it really gets their wheels turning so that they can be creative with what they want to do next in life. So challenge yourself and your young people around you. I don't care if you have a niece or a nephew. If you have a niece or nephew and the mother or the father may not be there in their life, and you're pretty decent at budgeting, challenge yourself to reach out to that niece or that nephew or that young person in your community that you know to help them get their life on track. One thing I'll tell you for sure, when you help someone financially get on track, when you help someone get themselves to a better place financially, their level of love, loyalty, and respect for you changes for a lifetime. If you really want to have impact in your community, if you really want to have impact in your family, start making the conversation of financial literacy a norm. Start making the conversation of budgeting and managing money and being a good steward over what you have something regular to where it's not taboo. And then when you begin to have impact and you can help change someone's life financially, once again, the level of love, respect, and loyalty that they have for you will be changed forever. Not that you're necessarily looking for those things, but that's just something that innately happens. Now, what are some things that you want? What are some things that you need to do? What are some of those goals? Keep that in mind. That's a question that I asked earlier. So if you're just tuning in, just remember we're thinking about some of the things we want, some of the things we need, whether they're short term in the next 6 months or in the next 2 years. And like I said earlier, my son wanted to take this job opportunity, and because he started budgeting and making budgeting a habit, that he was able to be prepared to be able to leave Georgia and transition to Colorado and not miss a beat. He was able to afford that transition, and I'm a blessed parent because he did what he's supposed to do. I did not have to try and chip in financially to make it work, to make it happen. I didn't have to miss a meal. My family didn't have to go without. I don't have to adjust my budget so much to where we're put in a bad spot for him to be able to make a move. Is that bad if a parent or a family has to do that? No, it's not bad. So don't misconstrue what I'm saying. Don't overread between the lines. What I'm saying is because of the effort and the work when it comes to budgeting in advance, his move didn't financially harm someone else or affect someone else. Now, yes, I still had to get out here. So I spent money, but I gladly spent money for me and my wife to get out here. But I didn't have to fund his move and his project and everything that it took for him to transition from Georgia to Colorado, because financially he was prepared and he did all of those things in advance to be able to make this move, to be able to maintain himself, to be able to transition to an apartment, to be able to buy his own plane ticket out here, to be able to ship his things out here. From start to finish, as a 23-year-old, he was able to make that transition financially because he did what it took and what was necessary, and being calculated with his finances and being comfortable. But it didn't start yesterday. It starts with what we do last year. It starts what we did with the year before that. And for people who have not been budgeting and maintaining themselves, it starts with what you do today. If you don't have enough money to manage yourself and to manage your budget, then start looking for other creative ways to bring in finances. It doesn't matter what it takes, and it doesn't matter what other people look at you and what they see you doing. It doesn't matter if you have to dress a certain way. Don't worry about what other people are going to say. It doesn't matter, and frankly, it's none of their business. They don't know your financial situation. They don't know what your goals are. One thing when it comes to budgeting and planning in advance, Simon is going to do what it takes. You have to have that mindset. Do what it takes to get to where you're trying to go. Make the proper connections to get to where you're trying to go. If you don't know how to budget, if you don't know how to plan, reach out to someone that can help you. Humble yourself, and so that you can grow. Do not allow your pride to get in the way of you being able to have financial success. I believe each and every person can have financial success. There's too many tools and opportunities at our fingertips to help us get to where we need to go. Some of us may get there a little faster than others, but it's still possible to get to where we're trying to go. And for me, I've had a level of financial success that I'm so excited about. And I believe this is just the tip. This is just a small piece of the puzzle, and it will continue to grow. And I want to share that success with other people. I want to share those experiences with other people, because my goal and desire is to see other people have financial success. My goal is to see other people be able to be comfortable and not living paycheck to paycheck. My goal is to not see people struggle so much that there's too much month for the amount of money that they have. I don't want to see people struggle and they don't have to, because there's too many of us that have the knowledge and the information that can pass it down to other people. And when you get this knowledge and information, be willing to make the sacrifices. Be willing to do what it takes to reach where you're trying to go. When I have certain goals, there's just certain things that I'm not going to buy. There's certain things that I'm not going to spend money on. There's certain places that I'm not going to go, and I don't care who else is going. I don't worry about the thoughts and opinions of others because I've made up my mind to reach my goal. So don't allow peer pressure to destroy your budget. Don't allow bad habits to destroy your budget. I believe uh, bad habits mess up most people's budgets more than anything. I'll give an example. Uh, one one bad habit that you can have easy is after you exercise or work out, going to the grocery store to buy food. If I exercise or work out and then I go to the grocery store to buy food, oh, it's a wrap. Whatever my grocery budget or plan was is out the window. Because after I work out, I'm hungry. After I work out, I want to taste everything that I see in the store. I'm grabbing stuff from every aisle, stuff that I would not even normally eat. You know, one of the things that my wife gets frustrated with, like I hate potato chips. I think potato chips are nasty. But if I'm hungry, I will eat all the potato chips in the house. I don't care what flavor. Well, there is one exception. There's one nasty flavor that I don't understand why anybody would eat. It's salt and vinegar. Whew, my goodness. Yeah, that one I don't care if I'm hungry. I can't do it. Something's wrong with it. It's I don't know. It feels like I feel like they sprayed chemicals on them salt and vinegars. But anyway, I'm not a big potato chip person. I don't know. Sometimes if I'm making a sub, I like to put the Doritos in the sub and then eat them. But other than that, I really don't too much care for it. I like chips and dip. I say that, but I'm not a big potato chip person. But if I go to the store or if I'm hungry, I will eat stuff that I should not normally eat, or I will grab stuff that I didn't plan to be in my budget for that week. And so, bad habits, doing things that don't make sense, can destroy your budget. Does anybody else have bad habits that mess up their budget? Feel free to comment. Feel free to put that in there. Bad habits that will destroy your budget. I just gave my example of when I go to the store immediately after I work out. That's a bad habit that I should not do. Another bad habit that can mess up your budget, uh, doing taxes late. If you file your taxes late, but you owe the government and they're going to charge you interest for being late, that's another bad habit that can mess up your budget. So, being able to effectively do your taxes on time, if you're going to owe, allows you to save money and allows you to give less money back to the government. So, well, to Uncle Sam, to the IRS. So, keep that in mind. So bad habits and not being disciplined and not being consistent can destroy your budget. So as we continue to talk about things, think about what are some of your goals that you want to accomplish and how budgeting can help you prepare for those. Is it a car? If you're trying to budget and plan for getting a car, then what do you need to do to budget and prepare to help you get that vehicle? What are some of the things? What is the price range of that vehicle? Is it budgeting and not planning not only just to afford the monthly payment on that car, but it may be as simple as making a decent down payment to make the monthly payments affordable. Now, for me, I really don't like car payments, so I always try to find a deal out there. If I can find a deal on a car and pay in cash, then that's usually my go-to. That's one of my game plans and strategies at all times. I'm always hunting and trying to find a deal on a vehicle, whether it's somebody getting ready to move or they're getting ready to upgrade a vehicle and they don't care about the other vehicle. They're just trying to get it out the way and get it off their insurance. So there's so many different strategies that you can use to help yourself budget and plan in advance for the moves that you're trying to make. So if it's for a car, you need to find out how much that car is going to cost you. You need to also find out what that monthly payment looks like. And if you even want to do monthly payments, how is that monthly payment going to affect your monthly budget? Is it going to stretch you? Is it going to take you out of that window? Those are the things you need to know in advance before you get on that car lot. Because when you get on that car lot and that salesman gets to talking to you, that's what he does all day. You're in his arena. You're on his court. You're on his field, and his practice of what he does daily is convince people to buy high value items or to buy products to make money for his company, which is to buy a car so that the car company can make money. And so you're in his field, and whether he's talking fast, whether he's talking slow, whether he's whatever it is, you must understand that you are in a place to where they are more than likely going to be successful at what they're trying to accomplish because that's what they discuss on a daily basis. So when you're trying to budget and plan in advance, doing research and homework before you get to the car lot so that you can be confident and have a sound mind for the things you want are going to be important. That way you don't get talked a little too far out of your comfort zone, but that you stay in that financial window of what it is that you wanted. You have to be able to stay in that window of what you want and don't allow someone to talk you too far out. Because when you see the candy being waved in front of you, when the carrot is being dangled in front of you, and you plan to only spend 500 a month, but you see something else and it's just 525. It's just 550. It's an extra $50. You will start reasoning in your head why it makes sense to go out the budget. Got to be careful. This is something we have to be very careful. You cannot try to reason in your mind why it makes sense to go out of budget. And some people will say, well, I only plan to spend 500 a month, but I could do 550. I do like that item. If I just do an extra hour of overtime, my eyes are watering. Whenever it's cold outside, my eyes are watering. For those that are just tuning in, I am in Colorado, Denver, Colorado. It's nice outside. It's a little bit different from Georgia. It got a little chilly out here. Put on the Consistency is Key hoodie. But once again, when you're budgeting and you're planning and you go to a car lot or you're getting ready to buy a house, stay within your budget because the salesperson is trained in an art to convince you to buy something that you may not have planned on buying, that a budget range that you had maybe planned not going out of. And if your goal was only to spend 500 a month on a car, they may be able to persuade you to do 550 if you don't do the necessary research, homework, and go into that arena on that car lot with your plan in place, with your financing in place, knowing what it is that you want. And I'm just using 500 a month as an example. But I do know that car prices have gone up and interest rates are going up. So if you found a car and you only had to spend 500 a month, that's almost like a win right now. But it just depends on how many years you finance and all of that. So stay within your range because you'll reason and say, well, I can do some extra hours in overtime to cover that extra $50 a month. Just know that extra $50 a month you agreed to is an extra $600 for that year. And so if you have a car note for 5 years, that's $600 times 5. You agreed to an extra not only $50 a month, you agreed to an extra $600 a year times 5 years, 4 years, however many times you finance that. So 2 years, that's $1,200. 3 years, that's $1,800. So do the math on that and see what you're really agreeing to. So when you agree to an extra $50 a month or an extra $100 a month, you actually agreed to an extra couple $1,000 for the totality of paying that thing off, plus the interest on it as well. I thought it was going to start getting a little bit warmer over here, but still getting a little bit chilly. I'm going to communicate and still talk about financial literacy for about another 12 minutes, talking about budgeting and planning and why it's important. I already mentioned about planning for gifts for like Christmas and things like that. We earlier this week, we talked about school, and I didn't get to dive deeper into planning and prepping for college, but that's an important one as well. And so I did talk to you, everyone, about, getting your young people in the right mindset to budget and plan as early as, if you can, high school. If middle school, then that's great. Elementary school, it's a little difficult for them to be able to comprehend what they're doing and why they're doing it. But by middle school, that would be like perfect if you can. High school, I think that's vital. You got to do it ninth grade as soon as possible, 13, 14 years old. Because if you start trying to teach your child how to budget and plan in advance, and they're an adult, they're over 18 years old, and that's the first time they start putting it to practice, you're going to have some problems. They're going to have some problems as well. And a lot of their problems are going to fall back on your in your lap. So anyway, when we're planning for school, college, things like that, parents, I will say this: you need to be borderline annoying. You need to start having your children prep and plan for college, where they want to go. Start researching how much does it cost annually. Do they have any academic benefits that financially will help them for colleges and universities? They need to start writing letters. They need to start applying for scholarships. And if they're lazy, then there's some things that you need to adjust in their priorities. Well, we don't need to go here and we don't need to do this until this paper is done. And parents, honestly, once they write about 3 or 4 uh, scholarship applications, they now have a blueprint. It's not difficult to send out more after that point because you already have a blueprint of whatever it is that you need to write. Each university is going to have something unique that they want you to write about or personally talk about yourself. Well, guess what? You've already wrote 3 or 4 of them. So you already have the blueprint, and now you can put them out, and send them out. That way your child has an opportunity at that free money that's out there, and all they had to do was practice writing and mailing things off at the proper place to make money. And it's a good trade. You're going to win because the cost of stamps versus the scholarship money you're going to make is worth the transaction. So as we continue to talk about budgeting and planning, financial planning in advance for what you want and the things and where you're trying to go, whether it's a car, whether it's Christmas, whether it's for a house, if it's for a home. If some people, if your goal is to eventually buy a house, you need to find out what type of financing, what type of loan you're going to use to pay for the house. Some people may pay in cash. If you pay in cash, great. It is possible to buy a home in cash with cash as well, whether you pay in cash regular or whether you go to a tax lien auction, things like that. So there's multiple ways to buy a home in cash, but also if you're financing, whether it's a commercial loan, whether it's FHA, so find out how you're going to finance. Find out, what your potential interest rates are. I tell everyone, use Mortgage Calculator. There's a website, mortgagecalculator.org, I believe. That's one of the ones I use to just find an estimate of what my monthly payments will be. And so once I know what those estimates of my monthly payments, I know whether or not that deal or opportunity is affordable or not. And so those are just some of the simple things you can do for someone who's looking at buying a home. You don't have to be intimidated by the unknown. Do the research. Once again, same thing like going to a car lot. Do the research first. If you practice doing the research over and over and over, when the opportunity presents itself to have a conversation with that salesperson, with that real estate agent, whoever it is, when you do the research, you will be so much more confident with making a deal or completing that transaction because you've already done the necessary homework. Some people stall, some people are a little slow with making some of their goals happen simply because they didn't do the research or they have the fear of the unknown. Well, stop being afraid of the unknown because there are things you can do to know. If, for example, we're talking about home ownership. If you've never owned a home and you're worried about the steps, start going through the motions now. Whether you can afford a house or not, start going to tours, start looking around, start learning to inspect the house. There's certain things that you're learning. Take notes, go through the process. You do not have to commit, you do not have to buy, but you do need to take steps to go through the process so that when the opportunities come, once again, like we talked about before, you start now. So 6 months from now, next year, when the opportunities presents itself, you can capitalize because you've done the necessary work. You'll be confident up here. So when someone's talking, and whether they're fast talking you and trying to convince you to jump into something, you'll know whether or not that fits you. You'll know whether or not that's a great opportunity for you or if it's out your range. I remember one time I went to go buy a house, and it was an investment property, not my primary home. And the real estate agent, he was just talking why financially it made sense for me to make this investment deal. And he was going 100 miles per hour. Now, while he was going 100 miles per hour, I was listening to everything he said, and I was listening to the math. I'm trying to buy an investment property. He's telling me the profit I can make potentially, but also he was doing the math 2 years and 3 years from now. I was doing the math on today. I had already done the research. I had already did all the math and everything that I needed to find out whether or not this property was going to be beneficial for me, whether or not I could make money off of it. And there are some deals where, yes, you can wait 2 or 3 years to make some money off of. But if I'm doing a deal, if there's not tons of equity in the house, if my profit is going to be extremely low in the beginning, then I need to have a whole lot of equity. I need to have a whole lot of equity that I can work with, that I can leverage. Or I know if I sell this house, I can make a bunch of money off of it early on. But for me, normally, if it's not an amazing equity play, then I need to have my profit. I need to be able to make money. And so he's talking what could happen potentially years from now if I bought the property at a certain price. But he was talking fast and saying a lot of things that sounded cute to convince me to jump on the deal immediately right then and there. But because I did my homework, because I did my research, his numbers and estimates couldn't fool me. I knew his numbers were off. And because I knew his numbers were off, emotionally, I didn't get excited at the glitter, the numbers that he was telling me. And so when he walked out, and I had my inspector there with me, my home inspector, and so my home inspector, he looked at me and he caught all of it too. And he looked at me and we both started laughing to ourselves when the agent walked off because he knew that the guy was giving me a bunch of fluff. And he said, Simon, do you know that his number's off? The inspector was worried. He thought it had worked on me because the whole time the agent was talking and saying all these numbers, I looked serious and I was looking like, yeah, you know what? Mm-hmm. I gave him great eye contact, listened to everything that he had to say. I act like everything he was saying, I was hanging on to every word, but I knew his numbers was off. So when he left, the home inspector looks at me and was like, Simon, like, you know this man just like lied, right? And I was like, yeah, I know. I said, yeah, I know his number's off. And I don't plan on making that deal. We're going to negotiate, so on and so forth. And anyway, I ended up buying that property, but I got thousands of dollars taken off on the deal. Thousands of dollars taken off on that deal. And then it was profitable for me. So I had equity in the property and my return on investment, like it was going to be like over 15% annually. So it was a great situation for me and I was able to have success, but it's all because I did the research and I did the homework in advance so that I could seize this moment, seize that opportunity when it presented itself to me. And that's why you can't be afraid. You have to be confident. You have to be willing to make those moves and do the homework and the research now. Or if it's for budgeting to planning to have something, make the necessary sacrifices that it takes now. You make the necessary sacrifices, you're going to win later. Everyone may not understand what it is you're trying to do. Don't worry about whether they can understand it or not. So, in conclusion today, once again, I've been live for about 59 minutes and 20 seconds. I definitely appreciate for everyone who has tuned in. I'm here in the great state of Colorado. It's a little chilly outside. We were talking about budgeting and planning in advance. And one of the keys in that is being consistent. And no matter what is going on around you, continue to be consistent every single month. We're going to continue to push the envelope to talk about financial literacy. I'm excited about different things that are coming up. I plan on doing financial literacy challenges. And yes, there'll eventually be some money giveaways and all that other good stuff. I like giving away money, it's fun. And anyone can like, subscribe, share this information. If you see this information can help someone, feel free to like it. Feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel or follow me on Facebook. My YouTube channel is Coach Steele's Finance Training. And on Coach Steele's Finance Training, you'll find other financial literacy videos. Feel free to subscribe. I'm trying to boost up those subscribers as best I can. So feel free to help me out there while you enjoy and be blessed with the information that's on there. Every Saturday morning, I'm going live on Facebook to talk about financial literacy. So always feel free to tune in and join in there on Facebook. The name is Simon Steele. I'll be going live there, and I'll be joining some other platforms to talk about financial literacy as I've done in the past as well. And we're going to make this normal. We're going to make this a regular conversation. We'll make discussing financial literacy a thing that we talk about at all times in our circles to make sure that everyone's doing well, that everyone's okay, and that everyone's comfortable, and we're pushing the envelope to get all of us to a better place. And we can do it if we all join together, if we all work together. Once again, I'm Simon Steele. Please like and subscribe and share. Share this information with other people. We're having a whole movement. My team, we're going to have a movement, and this team is going places. Just like the Celtics won a championship, we're going to win financial championships this year in 2024. Be blessed and have an amazing day.